keeps you on the edge of your seat. You got, a little more wager into the game. It means more to you. So, yeah, you definitely get rooting for it. Everybody bets.
Everybody bets now?
Yeah, it's easy. It makes it more exciting to watch a game.
It's never been more easy or mainstream
I got Orlando money line
to bet than right now, thanks in large part to the proliferation of online sports betting.
I think this is a public health crisis.
It's not a crisis yet, but it's going to be one.
The majority of people that gamble do so safely, recreationally. They don't develop a problem. But when they do, it can cause a lot of problems. There's a basic formula for risk. It's accessibility plus acceptability equals an increased vulnerability to problem gambling. So, the more acceptable and accessible an activity is, the more likely there is a chance for people to develop a problem.
We're outside the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling in downtown Sanford. This is Florida's only helpline for people struggling with a gambling addiction. We're going to take you inside to show you what they do. We're also going to talk to you about the rise of online sports betting, just how many people are now addicted, and why centers like this are struggling to keep up.
All right, boys, who we betting on?
Gambling commercials are everywhere, often featuring familiar faces, placing bets, and winning big.
The advertising is very difficult to avoid.
Yeah, so that's the newest.
Rollins College professor Dr. Keith Buckley says that aggressive advertising is a recipe for disaster, especially for someone who's addicted.
It's the alcoholic being in a bar. It's the same analogy. It's definitely normalized, and what we're seeing is this young men, it's a social activity. They're gambling between themselves using the app and the variants of different games you can play.
As call volume skyrockets from addicted gamblers, the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling is working with its smallest staff ever. Jennifer Cruz is the executive director.
Do you have the staff for this?
We definitely do not. We don't. We operate, like I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, currently with 7 staff members.
Seven. What do you need?
Probably at least 30 at this point.
What's worse, the center is currently operating without any funding from the state of Florida.
Currently, we are funded solely by the Seminole tribe of Florida. So without the Seminoles, there would be no resource for help for people with a gambling problem in the state of Florida.
For the last 20 years, the Florida Gaming Control Commission has provided funding to the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling, but those dollars stopped in July of 2024. Cruz says this is why. Binders as tall as some of the center's staff, filled with information the commission wanted monthly from the council. It took more than 100 hours every month to prepare each report, and eventually the council told the commission they don't have the resources to do it anymore.
While we've had this huge increase in contacts to the helpline and expansion of gambling in the state of Florida, there have not been equitable resources allocated for this issue.
At the time of this recording, the Florida Gaming Control Commission said it's still seeking a new partner, a process that began right after the contract with the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling ended.
I cannot get over the fact that you had more staff before sports betting became legalized. Do you ever think about that? And
Yeah.
It's, to me, I'm baffled.
Yeah, it definitely should be the other way around.
You think?
Unfortunately, circumstances haven't allowed for that.
The 7 staff members, including Cruz, are responsible for answering more than 170 calls, texts, and live chats through their website every single day. It's a specialized job that requires months of training.
You never know what's at the other end of that line, and no call or text or chat is ever really the same. So you have to have somebody that's, got the experience and the knowledge and understands this issue, understands the addiction, and, is compassionate and is also able to provide appropriate resources.
And it's hard to tell just how many people are struggling. Cruz says only a small percentage of people who develop a problem actually reach out for help.
I think there's a shame and a stigma associated with it. I think that people that have a problem are afraid to admit it. Maybe because of the finances that are tied to it. They're afraid it might impact their career, their ability to get a job.
Part of the problem, gambling, is an addiction that looks unlike any other.
Gambling addiction, it's a hidden addiction. It's very much like substance use addiction, similar to alcohol and drugs, but it's also very different. There's no saturation point. Somebody can only sit at a bar and ingest so much alcohol or ingest so much of a chemical or substance before they pass out or have a physical reaction to it. With gambling, you can, with the click of a mouse, lose millions, lose your entire life savings.
I don't know what high schools are doing, I don't know what colleges are doing in teaching about this, but it needs to be addressed because it is going to be an issue.
It's why centers like this one are trying to teach about gambling addiction early to try and break the cycle. Aside from operating the call center, the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling also educates the community on the dangers of problem gambling, and they start with young kids.
I mean, we're talking about, this was what, elementary, middle?
This is on.
You start early.
Yeah.
Why?
Because prevention, it's all about prevention, having the conversations and explaining that, yes, gambling is normalized, but there is a risk that's associated with it.
Be sure to subscribe to Solutionaries to see all our latest videos right here on YouTube.